Hello, everybody. My name is Odessa Settles, and I am from Nashville, Tennessee, and I am in the music and the medicine business. And I am working with the Nashville Symphony on their Martin Luther King concert that is annual. I am the coordinator for the Celebration Chorus. Interestingly, it was called Let Freedom Ring initially for several years, as a matter of fact. But the first concert actually I attended, it was in, I believe it was 1993. It occurred at the War Memorial Auditorium. And a friend of mine who was part of the Nashville Symphony Chorus had invited me to come to the concert. Her name is Flora Blocker. Um, and I attended and I enjoyed what I saw. It was the concert honored African American composers and had a theme called Hand in Hand. And as an activist myself, I it just was right up my alley, and so I really enjoyed it. So I was there for the first concert that was conducted by Karen Landell and K. George Roberts, who is from Nashville, Tennessee. Um, so it was a great program filled with variety, and I enjoyed the music and the format. And so my friend asked me, she encouraged me to actually join the Nashville Symphony Chorus, which I did. So that was the start. Yeah.
And so over the years, kind of how have you tried to help shape what this is, and what has it meant to you to be involved for so many years?
So I was, as a member of the Nashville Symphony Chorus, which was highly involved also in the beginning initially on this particular concert. I became part of the committee for the Martin Luther King concert, the annual concert. I also sat on the committee with the Nashville Symphony as well. We always had a choral entity uh, on the committee there. So I was part of that, and so it was really great because I was able to help shape the concert, you know, uh, and who was going to be involved, how they were going to be involved. So I was part of the programming committee. So that was really great. That was a great experience to have. It was the first time that I had been involved in an organization that was as large as the Nashville Symphony. Um, and so for me, it became like a yearly special ritual, something to look forward to, and also a way to also expand my activism in celebrating the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, who wanted to bring people together from all different backgrounds, races, to make this world a better place, and also to fight for the racial injustices that plagued African Americans, from as long as I can remember. So for hundreds of years, this has been going on. So it's a constant struggle. That's what they say. Freedom is a constant struggle. So it was a way to do it, to work, do my activism, as well as enjoy my life as a musician and performing artist.
And so if you think about where we are in this moment, going into 2021, having experienced a year unlike any that we could have
Yeah.
ever experienced, what I mean, and we can't even really even come together in the way that we traditionally would, but we know that this is an important moment to come together however we can, to keep that tradition and to uphold it and to think about how we can build it for the future. What does this mean to you in this moment?
That is a good question. In this moment where we have been kind of separated from each other because of the COVID-19, which has shut down a lot of activities. and it has made us be at home more so than usual. So has been a time of reflecting. And what has also happened is it has brought out a lot of the, what you call it, the social injustices that are still going on. It has raised the awareness, in my opinion, tenfold. So more people are beginning to understand what has been plaguing the African Americans communities and individuals for years on end, and have an interest now to try to evaluate themselves, to learn about racial injustices, to learn about what it is that they can do to try to help improve things. So, that's one thing that this particular period has done, and also our leadership, which has kind of separated, parties, which is horrible to see, I think, Um, but now there is a certain type of togetherness, although we are kind of separate, there is a togetherness that is happening, even if we have to do it by Zoom, which is fantastic. I don't know how many meetings I have been on, regarding racial topics, so there's a plethora of speakers, and the young children, the young kids are like, have become more active, in their fight for this, as well. So that's exciting to see. So it has brought out a lot of good things, in that sense, because the only way that you can heal from all of this is to be aware of what's really going on. So I think more people have become empathetic, so they, you know, they have been given a reason. So that's what's going on, I think, based on what we're dealing with today. Yeah.
Yeah. And, as you were talking, I was just reflecting on the ways in which our own understanding of our community continues to evolve. I know that if I go back to the 1990s, that was a really important moment in the life of this community, at least for me personally, because it was when we began as a city to embrace the full scope of
Mhm.
what Nashville's musical community has been. And I'm really kind of zeroing in on the Country Music Hall of Fame's Night Train to Nashville exhibit, which was,
Uh-huh.
in my mind, the first moment when the city, as kind of like the cultural institutions of the city, it's time to recognize that our city's legacy is so much larger than what it is that
Mhm.
people have thought
Mhm.
about. And I've thought
Yeah.
about the ways in which we've gotten to see that really evolve over
Mhm.
the last few decades, to where more and more people just know, they come into Nashville understanding what this city truly represents, going back
Mhm.
all the way to the Jubilee Singers
Mhm.
up to
Mhm.
today. And so, your own experience here has very much been shaped by that. And I would
Mhm.
like for you to take a minute to talk about the ways that music has shaped your life and your family's life, and how that also ties specifically to this community that we're part of.
Mhm. Mhm. It's interesting that you brought up the 1990s, because around that time too, Nashville is a very, from an artistic standpoint, the arts period, it's a very cohesive area. It's easy for the different organizations or the different genres, like your music, dance, theater, uh, visual arts, your writers. It's easy for them to connect with each other here in Nashville, and that has been a plus. And I say that because around the early 1990s, there was a group that was doing a project called, what was it? Make Me a World, right? And so what they did, a group from Pennsylvania, looked at different cities around the country to promote that particular project. And it had, it involved the arts, all the parts of the arts. And so Nashville came in kind of late on it, but they wanted to choose 10 cities to put on programming or do activities that would promote our Make Me a World. And so when they came to Nashville to visit, we encouraged them to come anyway, although they had already chosen everyone that they wanted to use. So they came to Nashville, investigated, and realized that Nashville was indeed a very cohesive group, in the arts, and they added Nashville. So I was part of a organization called In for Art. You remember that with Carlton Wilkinson, who is a photographer here in Nashville. But I was part of that. And so what we did was we produced a program at the Ryman Auditorium. It's the first time I think an African-American group has ever produced a program there at the Ryman Auditorium. And included artists. It was a multi-genre program that included artists, dance, writers, singers, and they also, it was Black Side, by the way, that was doing this whole program from Pennsylvania. And so that was an interesting time, like you said, in the 1990s, when people became more aware about the music, the art, the cohesiveness of the arts here in Nashville, Tennessee. So I was really thrilled to be part of that. From a family standpoint, I grew up in music because my father was a singer, and he was a quartet type singer, so there was, it doesn't necessarily mean 4-part harmony, but he was a Jubilee type singer, and they rehearsed in our homes. So my 7 siblings, 7 brothers, and I would learn the music that they rehearsed, and even to the day, we, still kind of honor that. And so we grew up in it, and we thought everybody did, right? But we eventually found out that that was not true. But that music became an important entity in our lives, and it still is, So I'm glad that we got that beginning. And also within our school systems, music and the arts were very important. So I always took advantage of that growing up. And then when I came to the Nashville Symphony and the MLK concert, I had already been part of a group called the Princely Players, which was formed in 1967 out of our high school. And it was a group that presented African-American history through drama and music. So by the time I came to the symphony, that group had been in existence already for 26 years. So, and it still is in existence right now. So we had the opportunity to travel around the country and present this music and also the history to thousands of schools, universities, performing arts centers, so we had an array of experiences doing that particular thing. So music has always played an important role in the lives of African Americans, from the time that we were brought here as slaves, and the music that poured out of that particular area, over 6,000 spirituals have been identified from that period. A lot of people call it simplistic, but it's a historical presentation, of a period, of an oppressed people, who talked about or sung about, what was going on during that particular period of time. Under the auspices, a lot of times, of religion, But in that particular time, religion and freedom became one and the same. And that's what that music was all about. So, so that's where my heritage, because that music was passed down to us as well, and it still continues. So when I grew up during the civil rights movement, so that music that was passed down from slavery was repurposed for the civil rights movement. And now today I hear kids singing some of those songs as well as they march against what's, going on in society today. So that's how important it is, it's a mainstay. Yeah. It's healing. Yeah.
Hmm. You also have worked for many years in the medical profession while also doing music. And
Hmm.
I'm wondering if you'd be willing to kind of talk about the ways in which you see connections between your work in those different areas and whether you see them as all part of kind of one whole experience for you in your life and kind of how that manifests for you.
Okay. So, yes, both. I see it. It's a link, I've always felt that music and medicine go hand in hand, because the characteristics of doing both of them are very similar, and like I believe that they have this kind of a symbiotic relationship, because both music and medicine has been shown to augment healing, you know, and it also, when you're thinking about kids growing up who are exposed to music, it teaches you, it you become a better learner. It improves your listening ability, your communication skills. And if you are actively doing it, then it allows you, whether you're doing it on stage or whether you're doing it in whatever venue, church or clubs or whatever, it helps you to connect with people, and you have to have those skills in the medicine as well. So because, when I see my patients, I have a voice, and music has helped me with that, you know, and, you know, every relationship that I've had in during my career in medicine has not always been positive. But because of the music and because of the way that I grew up, having this, it has helped me to deal with those particular type of relations. I mean, let's say experiences that were not so positive, you know. And so that's one of the things. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It has the power to transform. Music and medicine does. So they both have that ability to do so. So it I use it when I see my patients. My patients are little babies for the most part. The majority of them are, because I started helped to start a clinic that follow babies with chronic lung disease who were born premature. And these babies have been discharged from their nursery, still requiring supplemental oxygen. So they come to my clinic until they no longer need supplemental oxygen. I also follow children in a neurodevelopmental follow-up clinic. And so when they come to clinic, many of them are just really frustrated, upset, you know, music calms, so that ability to, like, I have to get down on their level. And so I communicate with the kids, with the babies even, and the parents are just like, oh my goodness. I say, yeah, sing to your child, because music is a healing thing, and it also connects you, with people. Music has, and it brings happiness and hope, you know, in any particular situation, I think. It allows you to express. And so utilizing that in the medical arena is very beneficial. It augments the healing process.
When you are in need of healing yourself, what music do you go to?
That's a good question. I go to the music that my father has taught me. throughout the years. You know, the spirituals are the ones that like really grabs me. When I am down from a social standpoint, I, you know, I have so much music, you know, it's just incredible. But Glory is the one that I am listening to over and over and over again these days by Common and John Legend. That, you know, just the words of that song, it just lifts us. And one of the crux of it, the song, the line that says, the biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. That is the crux of it, you know. And so that's the thing, you know, I live by this adage of, it's something that I said when I was a young kid growing up and became socially aware, that people do what they know to do until they learn to do something different, right? And that helps me to see people as I see myself, with faults, you know, and as long as I live and have breath, there is a possibility of me becoming a better, even a better person, you know, and I have that wish and that desire for everybody that I meet as well, even if they are putting me down when I first meet them, you know. So that's music is what I hold on to when I'm needing something to be lifted.
As we sit in this moment, looking ahead to a year where we're going to need so much healing,
Hmm.
what is your vision for this community and your greatest hope for us and really for our country and our world?
From a personal standpoint, it is my hopes that we become a more equitable, you know, society. That we continue to understand that there are disparities that are harming many of us, you know, and what people who are looking from the outside in, you know, you know, looking at African Americans and now understanding what's going on. What people have to understand is doesn't just impact us, it's impacting you as well. And I'm hoping that everybody will know that we are all in this together because it is impacting every last one of us, whether you realize it or not. You know, so I'm hoping that more eyes will be open, that more people will become hopeful, that we understand that it's a necessary that we need each other. You know, we don't need to fight each other. There is room for every last one of us here. This world belongs to all of us, you know. And so that's what I'm hoping, that our eyes continue to open and that we continue to heal over the past issues that have been plaguing us for eons. And I think that's probably the hope for probably every generation that comes along, you know. And I have to say that I have seen some positive moves, and I'm happy about that. The fact that I'm sitting here talking to you, you know, when I was born, this probably would not have happened. You understand? So, in that sense, we can come face to face. Now we have to get to the point where we're comfortable enough to like really have conversations, though difficult, but necessary. So, that's my hope.